on the travels again. I'm at good old Tibshelf, and after I'm done at Tibshelf, I'm going to Herefordshire, a place called Monkland, not far from Leominster. And there I'm going to film, hopefully, some rabbits being caught and some other scientific fieldwork happening. Potentially after that, this is not confirmed yet, but I may then be heading on down through France and into Spain, which is exciting because I'll be driving past or possibly through the Pyrenees, depending on the weather. And I've never seen the Pyrenees. I've been to Spain a number of times, but I've always flown there. So I've never actually seen the Pyrenees, and I'm a big fan of mountains and always keen to see some mountains that I haven't seen before. Mr. Bailey has never been to Spain, or Andorra, or the Pyrenees. You can't see him because he's just underneath you there. But it's all going to be quite exciting, I think. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to all that. Now you can hear me. That's better. Yeah, hello. I have completed the first leg of my mission, which I chose to accept, which was to film the team working with rabbits in an extremely muddy Herefordshire. And I'm now going to call in and see my mum on my way to Folkestone, whence I shall strike southwards for a place called Cervera, which is between Barcelona and Lleida in Spain. There to film not so much a team as a single guy beavering away, surveying rabbits at night. Not rabbits, hares. Well, rabbits too if they're there, but we're mostly expecting hares. Where am I going? I shall stop talking to you now because I need to think about what I'm doing with my sat-nav. Yeah, it's been hard work here in Herefordshire, with lots of early mornings and working in the night, and yeah, and the mud. Oh, it's just unbelievably wet and muddy here. The issue, I think, has been that there's been just torrential rain just around the time when they need to harvest cider apples and juicing apples, and the result has been that you can't leave them on the trees to get frosted, so growers wait for drier weather and wait for drier weather, and there comes a point when they just can't wait anymore. So they go ahead and harvest, but the machinery, the tractors and the trailers and what have you, just tear up the soil at the headlands of the orchards. Just, it's like a battlefield. It's like those pictures you see of the Somme, and that's not much of an exaggeration. It's kind of literally knee-deep in mud. You can't move in these orchards without getting splashed to the waist. And it just gets tiresome because the mud gets everywhere. It gets on your paperwork, it gets on your hands, it gets on your face, it gets in your food. You can't keep it from getting in your car. I mean, if you took your oily trousers and boots off every time you got in the car, you'd be all day just doing anything, because you're constantly in and out of cars and trucks doing this kind of work. So things just get muddy and you have to live with it, and it's not much fun. So there's not much I need to film down in Cervera. It's really just to get a flavour of the landscape where it's all happening, because the actual work is mostly being done at night. The chap drives around to his pre-chosen survey fields and spends 10 minutes at each one scanning across it with a little thermal camera. Quite an amazing piece of technology. And if there are any warm-blooded animals on the field, they light up bright white. You really can't miss them. And it's quite easy to see what species they are from their proportions and the way they move. And so you can get a really clear picture of what's going on. The landscape is probably completely different, but you can't see that at night. You just see the guy sitting in his car with his little thermal camera and his screen that he can see the image on, and you can't see anything out of the windows. but I need to go to that part of Spain and at least get a picture of what the landscape is like, what the pattern of agriculture is. So I've really kind of got to go and do that. And I quite like driving. And I've never seen the Pyrenees. And of course I'll have to cross the Pyrenees to get to the Barcelona region. Houston, it appears we have a problem. I was coming down from Hereford yesterday and the fuel filter warning light came on, which means the filter needs to be replaced, probably. So I've had a quick phone around this morning and there's a Toyota dealer in sort of borders of Poole or Bournemouth who thinks they can do it pretty much while I wait. So with any luck, I can get over there, have them do it and still take my mum to lunch and be more or less on schedule. So I'm going to try and do that. Wish me luck. So I'm on the way to the Toyota dealer. Apparently it's going to cost me £150 for a fuel filter and the filter housing. But on the other hand, this is a mission critical thing. I can't afford to have the truck, break down on me with a much more serious failure due to a clogged fuel system or something on the way to Spain, where of course I would have much bigger difficulties in communicating and what have you. So I think it's a case of a stitch in time, and hopefully a wisely invested £150 now is better than a serious hold up later. I kind of knew there'd be traffic, this being the South Coast conurbation after all. But I was rather hoping that the worst of it would have cleared by now. Oh well. What will be, will be. Well, it's been... I'm not sure how long it's been, but I still hold out a faint ambition of maybe getting to Ham Bridges or maybe even actually to the dealer before I die of old age. We can only hope. So that has been a bit of a day. I've found a Toyota dealer who was able to replace the fuel filter and housing. That was relatively straightforward. They seemed a bit busy, but they did it pretty much while I waited, although I was waiting an hour or so. So thank you to Hendy Toyota in sort of Poole, Bournemouth-ish for doing that. And I was only half an hour or so late to pick up my mum, but she didn't seem to mind too much, and she had a coat on ready, all raring to go, so that was good. And we had a relaxed sort of lunch at the old inn in Holt. I then dropped her off, and I'd used up one of my 4 gas bottles. Now unfortunately in this van the gas locker is only big enough for a camping gas 907 bottle, and that, like 20 years ago, that was quite a common size, and everybody who did Calagas also stocked these little camping gas bottles. Unfortunately, they seem to be very much going out of fashion. Anyway, I finally got my gas. Fortunately, Go Outdoors are pretty reliable and they do keep cages full of the stuff. So I'm now on my way to Folkestone, where I will lurk overnight and roll onto the train at the dawn of crack tomorrow. It's a long, weary way across from Wimborne and Bournemouth and Poole all the way to Folkestone. Is there any part of the south coast of England that's not densely populated and full of people desperately trying to get from home to work or work to home or somewhere else? Mostly by car, yeah. And it's now 20 past 8 and I'm still on the road, still trundling along the M20 heading towards Folkestone. We'll get there eventually. Well, this is Cap Great Days on the French Bonjour tout le monde, et bienvenue en France. That means, hello everyone, welcome to France. Yeah, I am in France. I am just at the moment enjoying a cup of coffee and a small cuddle with my black companion here at Cap Gris-Nez. Just because we needed to have a walk and a coffee somewhere, because we had to get up at stupid o'clock this morning, didn't we, Mr. Bailey? He was not pleased at getting up at stupid o'clock in the morning to get on a Channel Tunnel train, and we didn't want to mess around with a proper dog walk before embarking on the train. We just kind of crawled out of bed and whizzed down to the terminal and got on the train, and off we went. And so, having arrived here, we needed to find somewhere for Mr. Bailey to have a bit of a run around. And this is the place. My plan is to avoid Paris by heading westwards towards Rouen to start with, and then heading down more or less due southwards from there. Slam on southwards on the autoroute péage, I think. What do you say, Mr. Bailey? Good plan? Is that a good plan? So we'll see what adventures befall us on this trip, shall we? Do you think it's going to rain? I think it might. Yeah. Finish my coffee and get going.